Season 1, we were in our feelings. Season 2, we started dealing. And in Season 3, we are getting to the healing. Join me, your host Justin-Rayne, and new guests each episode. Prepare to laugh, cry, possibly be triggered, but most importantly, evolve past it all as we continue to address our fuckboy problems. On today's episode of Fuckboy Problems, titled Mr. Fresh Off the Bus, I talk with fellow YouTuber Dooley from Dooley Does Food about the pros and cons of dating new people in town, the danger of ignoring red flags early on, and if there's an age limit on hoe phases. This is a funny, goofy conversation with a great friend, and I can't wait for you all to hear it. But first up, here's Fuckboys in the News.
Good evening. This is the news. Good evening. This is the news.
Good evening. This is the news.
Campaign between James and Phoebe really heating up now. Thanks.
Fucking library.
This is the fucking news.
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No! This is the fucking news.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of Fuckboys in the News. You know the rules. If you're fucking up and you have no excuse for your actions, know that I'm going to call you out on them. First up this week, we have none other than Las Vegas Raiders coach Jon Gruden. If you don't know what's been going on with this man, it has been years and years of white protection, white guilt, and this man using his power and privilege to protect himself and enable himself to still spew hate behind the scenes while being able to work, use, manipulate, and take advantage and profit off of black bodies. Let me give a little bit more context. For years, year-old emails from this prominent coach and high-ranking team executive, because what he does is he works also through NFL pools and through his relationships with family members and friends to hop from job to job. Once he was finally exposed for saying racist, homophobic, misogynistic, transphobic, like when I tell you, just Google this man's name, there is a litany of evidence and just blatant ass shit he's saying behind back doors to other people in the NFL organization. Like, it's crazy. About people in the organization, about female referees. Like, it's just crazy. About black players kneeling. Like, it just goes on and on. But like I said, once he was finally exposed about all this offensive language that he was using, he even had correspondence. I also want to include this. He was even have a correspondence with a team president sharing his feelings. Like, it's crazy. And do you all know that this stuff happened like 5 years ago? He was caught, I think the first time he was caught was in 2012. And they decided to do a deeper investigation. And it wasn't until now, finally, where I guess there's been a whistleblower or something behind the scenes to where he finally has had to resign. And white people are still going around talking about, well, he's still a good guy, and maybe that's not really what he meant. You saying that they need to keep the niggas out on the field instead of worrying about being on their knees is pretty clear. You calling referees pussies. You're saying you don't understand where we're letting all these faggots and queens and queers up in the game and how it's ruining the game. Those are pretty clear opinions, buddy. And you don't need a job. And you don't need to work anywhere in the organization. Everyone associated with him also needs to be fired and removed. That's even including the Washington team's president. Like, he should not be allowed to be a president. Like, it's really jarring and it's disgusting to really see how far this privilege runs. But we shouldn't even be surprised by the NFL. Jay-Z told y'all about it. Next up on the list, we have the comedian in everyone's mouth, Dave Chappelle. In Dave's latest Netflix special, The Closer, I think that's what it's called, yeah, The Closer, he compared trans existence to blackface, and a trans woman winning Woman of the Year with, like, I forgot what he compared it to, but basically he said that people should be mad if a trans woman won, because at the end of the day, it's not really a woman. And let me go into more detail. Dave Chappelle also declared himself to be a TERF, which is a trans exclusionary radical feminist. And basically what that means, J.K. Rowling came out, I think a few years ago is one, and she was canceled and wiped off the internet, as she should have been, which basically, if you just break down the title, that's exactly what it means. Trans exclusionary. It's basically saying like, yeah, I care about feminist things and I love feminism and I'm all for women, but I'm only for what they believe to be their definition of real women, which doesn't include trans women. Only people who are, assigned the female gender at birth, which we all know that that is not always accurate. And, gender is not a binary, etc., etc. I'm not going to go into those details, but that's very radical, exclusionary. Like, it's even in the fucking title. It's a very divisive group and a very divisive form of feminism, which most people don't subscribe to. It's really like a hate group, in my opinion, but that's just mine. And Netflix decided to stand beside Dave after numerous groups, GLAAD, different trans groups, called their attention to this and was like, why are you supporting this type of hate speech? It can be damaging. He talked about how a now dead trans woman committed suicide. Talks about like basically like Donald Trump saying, oh, well, like, yeah, I do have a trans friend. And it's like, okay, buddy. You have a black friend. Ha ha ha. Like, you have a trans friend. Now you want to pull out this one person that you know, but then also say that you support and you care about trans people and trans people's rights, as long as they stay into this bubble or they stay into this box where it doesn't affect you or really your values or your opinions. So do you truly support them unequivocally, or do you also support this rhetoric that subscribes to the idea that some trans women are actually men that are sexual predators who are just going through the transition process, or claiming to be trans, as TERFs believe, to actually be sexual predators and prey upon children and prey upon women, which is crazy as hell. And J.K. Rowling actually was the person who started and made this first radical kind of claim as a representative of the TERF community. That's as much as I'm going to give you on that. Me personally, I believe that this says a lot about Netflix, but I think Netflix also knows, like Facebook, they have a monopoly on the streaming community. It does have a very huge strong hold. They have had some other people enter into, the format and into the market, but overall they are still hugely and widely one of the big players. So they know that it's going to take a lot to try to wipe them off, and they can try to play different games to try to protect themselves. By saying that they allow for free speech and open conversation. Has created a dialogue about, is comedy a space where rules about social norms and being PC is off limits? Well, I personally believe that, yeah, comedy is a space where you can be fun. You can go to the edge. You can kind of say those things that maybe you wouldn't want to say all the time. But what I don't believe comedy should ever be is harmful. And I believe, it's different hurting someone's feelings versus saying things that could inspire other people to violently hurt someone else. And TERF rules and they're kind of like those values that they subscribe to are harmful, in my opinion. I think that's where the messages and some of the things that he's saying are damaging and need to be removed from the platform. Lastly on the list, we have these New York hotel fraudsters. In another case of Dumb, Dumb, and Dumber, a group of 4 New Yorkers, they decided to use the New York COVID-19 health worker program to book 5-star hotels using health professionals. That means doctors, nurses, anesthesiologists, anyone working as a health professional in a hospital or in a medical site, and sold these credentials for 60% off of the regular price on Facebook, y'all. This is dumb. And let me tell you about the captions these folks had. The caption or whatever, they basically were saying, oh yeah, I'm selling 60% off 5-star hotels. Can't tell you which hotel you'll be at, but I know it'll be a 5-star one. And then one of the people, they're making posts talking about, man, I made $15,000 in 1 week. This is amazing. And it's just like, like full-fledged, like detailing the whole plan. They also were selling these people's private hotel identification and personal information to allow some people for a certain price to book and do it themselves. They say you pay $800. You get this person's identification information, and you also get a code that you can now use to book your hotels. And it says they booked up over $400,000. Yeah, y'all made some money. And now these four individuals are facing between 42 and 72 years in prison. I say lock them up, put them in a chokey. You're deaf, dumb, and blind. One, for being so careless in your operation and not locking it behind a paywall, something a little bit more efficient. And then two, why are you having a stunt on Facebook? If you're going to run the operation, maybe on Facebook, I'm not even going to tell you to do that because it's still dumb. Don't also talk about your pennies and your profits. Don't you know that just brings haters around, and you don't know who reported, who was sniffing, who worked for the feds that you've been friends with, and you don't even know, you don't even remember they work for the police no more. And you just out here just detailing all your criminal activity right here on social media. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Y'all need to be more private. Stop trying to let everybody in on everything that you do. Everybody don't need to know what you're doing. Just make money and get money, bitch. Everybody ain't got to know how. But I am so excited for y'all to hear this conversation, Mr. Fresh Off the Bus, with Dooley. He cooks amazing food. He is funny as hell, and he is the life of the party. So, without further ado, this is Mr. Fresh Off the Bus.
Don't know what to do, but to keep part two of my confessions.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of Fuckboy Problems, Mr. Fresh Off the Bus. We have none other than my good Judy, newfound friend and food YouTuber, drag race reviewer, and aficionado, Mr. Dooley. What's up, Dooley?
Hi.
We about to key. All right, so today's episode, Mr. Fresh Off the Bus, is exactly what you guys think it is about. We're talking about a person that is new in town. They just got off the bus. They are just new to the city and they don't really know what's out there. But baby, there's a shark in the water and it's ready to get you because you're fresh meat. Y'all got it?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Now, Dooley, you've already expressed to me how you feel. I now am aligned. I am aligned. We are Black Widow and White Widow, and we are ready to choose violence and, bring chaos to the city. So go ahead and place us in the scene. Tell us how it happened.
All right. Picture it. No, not Sicily. I'm kidding.
No, sis. Everybody,
Sicily.
I need to stop telling people that. I need to stop telling people to do that.
Giving you Golden Girls. Okay, so this story starts here in Washington, D.C. I'm from New York City. I moved to D.C. In 2016 to do my PhD. So I was living in these D.C. streets for a little bit. In late 2017 into 2018, I met, we're going to call him Mr. Africa. We're going to call him Mr. Africa.
You are so kind. Thank you so much.
I mean, it's funny because you got the behind the scenes tea.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, y'all. Y'all just don't know. He was ready.
Justin got photos and receipts. So we met towards the end of 2017 into 2018 here in DC. I met him out. I was very, very bored here in DC. So I was trying to go to all the drag shows. I was out at all the bars, just trying to make friends and kind of figure out, what was DC giving. But I ran into him while he was out and thought he was really, really cute. And I feel like I'm always the aggressor. I'd be like, ooh, that girl over there looks great. And then I'll walk over and strike up.
You're just a predator. That's not an aggressor. You're a predator. You just going after people.
I'm not a predator. I'm assertive and confident.
I love it.
Baby,
I'm with
if
it.
you see something that you like, go get it. Don't just let it walk away. So I went over and just kind of struck up conversation. It was a very enjoyable conversation. We swapped numbers, and that was that. We started courting. I guess is what I'll call it. We'll call it courting. I think anybody on the outside looking in would just assume that we were dating because that's to the level that we were hanging out.
So it was excessive.
It was
and regular and consistent.
It was like the conversation was great. The texts were being exchanged and answered and returned in a promptly fashion. We would go out and like have a great time. And so since he was new, he moved here from Atlanta. He was coming here from Atlanta.
How long had he been in town before you all met?
I would hypothesize maybe 3 weeks or so.
Okay. So truly fresh. Truly
Mhm.
fresh. He could still be in the fridge if he was the right item.
Yep. Rapper still on.
Okay.
In the fridge.
Not rapper still out, sit in the fridge. Oh, girl, I got another week on that.
Or so you thought.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, like it was just a nice way it was also a nice way for him to get acclimated to the city. Because at that point I had been here for a year and a half, almost 2 years. So I kind of knew what it was. So I would take him around to all the local gay spots and all the little drag shows and all the restaurants. And I was paying. I mean, I believe if I'm the person that asked you out on the date, I suppose that I should be the person to.
You should.
Yeah. So yeah, he was being wined and dined and given a guided tour throughout Washington, D.C.
Okay. And when do things go left? And how long were things good before they go left?
Let's say that things were good for like a month, maybe 2, like going into 2, that October. So let's say that I met him. Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's say that I met him August of that year, and then he came to hang out for actually, the funny thing is the anniversary of that situation is today.
Oh,
that's crazy.
It was fate. It's time to heal, people. We are breaking chains right now.
What? As I think about it, yeah, like the anniversary, it would be this weekend. This weekend, several years ago, is when the shit hit left. Because he came to hang out here at my house for the long weekend for Indigenous Peoples Day. Okay, so let's explain how things kind of went left and when I started to sense that something wasn't right.
Yeah, where are the red flags? Where did your spidey senses start tingling?
So it was a long weekend, so I just assumed sex was going to happen.
When did he get there? Thursday or Friday?
Friday. We went out Friday and then came back to my house and just kind of set up camp.
Had you all had sex already in the city?
No. What y'all also think is off?
You are very kind and patient.
I try to let the girls show me who they are. Like, just show me, tell me about you. So like, maybe,
That's true. You want to let the flower blossom on its own. Yes. So it's Friday. You guys go out. You're under the assumption that, at some point, somebody's going to get had.
Absolutely.
So Friday, did anything happen? What happened on Friday?
So Friday, we went out. We had a good time at the little happy hour. We came home. We watched, I'm fairly positive we watched Bridesmaids, Kiki and Cackled.
Yes.
We continued to drink. Like, we were listening to was it Fire Wake Me by Maxwell and Alicia Keys. And so we were just, vibing and whatever.
That's like, that's giving lap dance.
It is. So then I was trying to get it popping, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm tired," and I was like, "Ba-doom, ba-doom, like what?
What you got to get up for in the morning?
Nothing.
But this dick,
absolutely nothing." But I was like, "Okay, like,
what you supposed to do? What am I supposed to do?"
Right? Like, when you play in a video game and like you make like specifically like an RPG, like you have to make a choice, and then like you get the little subtitle, Dante remembers this, and like that's what it was. It was like, okay, that's awkward, but Dooley remembers this. Like, I started taking notes. Like, okay, something ain't right. That was the first really, really big flag.
Okay.
Red flag number 2 happens 8 hours later.
So in the morning.
One thing that I have also noticed that like he spent quite a lot of time on his phone texting, I'm sitting next to you. So I'm like, who are you texting? I'm curious. And so I was just like, it just came up in conversation and I asked, and he was like, oh, it's my best friend. We can just call him best friend throughout the entire story. Because I'll say names, but we don't want to get sued out here.
Don't do it. No, allegedly.
Trying to clear a bitch.
Oh, we can call her the barista.
Yes, bitch. The people in my life that are going to listen to this are going to know exactly what story this is.
And they should.
Just by these names.
And they should. You want to know what? Because it's a travesty.
It is a travesty. So yeah, we'll call her best friend barista. So yeah, this is my best friend barista. He's still in, Atlanta. We used to date, but like it's not like that no more.
I ain't never dated a best friend.
Same. But also, like, once I break up with somebody, like,
you're dead to me.
Don't need to be your friend. Like,
I probably didn't went and paid a girl up in the Bronx to
right.
To send some bad juju your way if you didn't really mess with me. No, I'm not wishing you well.
That part. So I was like, oh, okay. And just kind of
because what you're supposed to say, yeah.
But like what you will find is that this person was very good at lying and very good at like covering up the things that like he didn't want me to see. But I'm a smart bitch and I pay attention. And sometimes it's not about what you say, it's about what you don't say. Or the gaps
omission
that you're not filling in. Right.
Omission.
So I just started to like notice just like little bits and pieces that didn't just make sense. And so like me, like of course I'm very Taurus.
You inquire further, didn't you?
Very Taurus. I want to know what this is. Like, what are we doing? Like, don't waste my time. Like, if you're not interested, like you should be able to go out and figure out somebody that that you want to enjoy, and I should also be able to go out here and figure out, find something else that works better than this situation. Or like if you are trying to do this, like say that, like make it a thing,
Mm-hmm.
At this point, we're doing everything that people do in a relationship except for having sex. That was red flag number 1, red flag number 2, red flag number 3.
Where do you move on from that?
I tried to strike up a conversation about it, and he was like, "Yeah, like I'm in this. Like, I don't know that we should put a label on it, and like, but like, yeah, like I'm enjoying spending time with you. I have a lot of fun with you. I'm just not ready to like have sex." And I was like, okay. But like at some point, I need you to like figure this out. So, the third red flag. So you said that you don't want to have sex. Why am I seeing your face on Grindr?
How'd you see him on Grindr? Did you see him on your Grindr, or you saw him literally on Grindr on his phone?
You get bored, and you just start opening up apps. Like I was just like bored, and I opened up Grindr, and he was like,
right there like, in the vicinity.
And I was like, "Oop, okay, work."
But you on Grindr too, though, sis.
I was bored.
But he could have been bored.
Sure, Jan. Sure.
Okay, so he opened up Grindr. I'm not doing this. So you open up Grindr, you see him on Grindr. What happens from that?
I clicked to read the profile.
Okay, so you read the profile. What you get up at? I need the deets on the profile. So what was the profile giving?
It was kind of bland. It was just like stats. It was like new to the area, looking for friends and fun. I was like, okay.
Had you all had a conversation about the fun? Oh, okay.
Work.
That was really where your issue kind of lied with the fun, because you're like, well, wait, you don't want to have fun with me, but you want to have fun with strangers.
That part. I'm like, okay, so what is Oprah gifts? What is the truth? Like, what is the truth? There were just all of these just like little like, and these are like small moments that are happening, just kind of like small moments that just kind of happen. Like I'm not out here looking for this, but like the universe is trying to tell me, Dooley, you need to fix your life. Like pay attention because something ain't right. Like
Is this the
And
same weekend? Is this still on the same weekend, or was this after the weekend was over?
this was the same weekend. This was the same week. This would have been like the day after that.
So we're on Sunday now.
Correct.
And you didn't
On
open the
Sunday.
app while you're with him.
He was in the shower. I was in my room, dicking around on my phone, and I just happened to open up Grindr.
We're gonna circle back to that later, but okay, so continue. So how do you address this, or do you address this?
I'm taking mental notes. I do not. I'm gonna address it, but we're not doing this right now. I'm gonna save this. I need to think about this. I need to come with a plan of action.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Don't act without a plan.
Correct. So we finished the weekend. It was cute. It was cute for what it was.
But you're over it now.
I'm kind of over it. I'm like, okay, something ain't right. I'm asking you questions and you're giving me answers, but the answers don't seem to align with this other stuff that I'm also sensing and like seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So this story is so messy.
As
I'm thinking about it and reflecting, I'm like, number one, you are a very different person today. Between then and now, I have ascended and become a grown-ass man. Because if I were to repeat this scenario today, I would have cut that shit off way at the beginning.
Right. It was from jump one. Yeah, it would have been
that's
a child.
Growth. Oh, that's growth. I also feel really stupid as I'm telling you this story because I'm like, you paid it a lot and you really shouldn't have.
But that's okay though. That was the moment at the
learn.
time, and it laid the foundation for the being, the beauty that you are today.
Mm-hmm. This is 5 years ago. A lot changes in 5 years.
Oh, let me tell you, you're a whole new person. You can be a whole new bitch. I know I am. You didn't want me 5 years prior. What happens next?
The next major moment in this story happens about 2 weeks later. I used pre-COVID. I used to throw a Halloween party every year.
Mm-hmm.
So people were coming. People were here. It was a great time. We had a lot of fun. We all drank too much and cackled too hard, and it was a good time. Until things went left. So people knew that we were courting. People knew who he was because I would bring him around. A friend of a friend came to the party and started flirting with him. And I was like, you might want to tell your friend to lay off.
Keep it cute, Susie.
You might want to keep it cute because this is my house and I will throw hands in my own home.
Oh yeah. Fuck the family.
Tells you right.
Very
the family fucked my husband, right? I think this also it just shows how invested, at this point, how invested I was in the situation. I really wanted it to work out. But I should have just been fuck that nigga. It's what I really should have said.
Why were you so invested? Was he, I guess that so you really, I guess that's you in any commitment. You truly commit.
I'm such a hopeless romantic. And I try to give people the benefit of the doubt and allow people to grow. Especially at that time. I think I'm a little more cutthroat now, but still very similar. So I was just I don't know, I felt a sense of investment.
Okay. So the friend of a friend tries you.
The friend of a friend is flirting, and it seems like he's actually responding to it. And I'm like, bitch, what is going on? This is the part of the story where Jasmine Sullivan calls her man, and it's not fair. That part of the song, who's loving you?
Mm-hmm.
That's the energy that I felt in that moment. Fuck is this? What is going on? So I cleared the room. I told
Are the cameras on?
I cleared the room. I said, everybody got to get the fuck up out. Y'all got to go. I shut the party down, and they was gagged. I was like, y'all gotta
I'm gagging for your party. How long had the party been going on? Was it at least a decent, amount of time before we had to go?
Party started at 9:30, 10. At this point, it's probably 1:30.
Okay, y'all can get the fuck out anyway. Them club hours. Go home.
I was just very, very mad, very, very agitated. Just you pissing me off, your friend pissing me off. I've also been drinking, so like
Yeah,
I'm
so
in
that's
my feelings.
heightened.
I'm feeling my aggression. Like everybody get the fuck out. But you
Mm-hmm.
probably should stay here so we can have a conversation.
Yeah, so he stays back.
He doesn't. I am enraged. I threw a cup at him too. I was pissed.
Was it plastic? Please don't let it be plastic. Damn. Damn, I would have went on wore his ass out. Ooh,
They
I'm
thought I
not.
was just being. They thought I was just being drunk, and I was like, "There's so much happening right now that nobody seems to be aware of."
Am I in an alternate reality?
I'm like, am I too sober? Am I too drunk? Because I can't tell like why nobody else sees what I see. Y'all are gaslighting me, making me feel like I'm nuts.
Right.
When I'm like, there were of all the people that were here, there were probably 3 or 4 folks that were like, "Ooh, girl." they were aware of like what was going, so they understood. But everybody else was like, "The fuck is wrong with him?" Justin, he leaves with the boy that was flirting with him.
Of course he did. We know that's why he did. They was making plans at your party, boo.
They were. The next day I had to go to a conference. And when I tell you I was the meanest bitch the whole day.
And then it's everybody's fault.
I was so mad. I was so angry. So the friend of the friend reaches out to me the next day and was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know, like I was led to believe like."
Didn't the friend of a friend send the message? Didn't the friend of a friend communicate?
Yes.
Well, seems like now you don't know how to listen.
Clearly. He was like, "I'm so sorry. I found out all this information after the fact. I really shouldn't have done that, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "What the fuck happened? Like, just tell me what the fuck happened."
Oh, bitch.
He was like, "I mean, we didn't really just fuck, but I did give him head." And I was like, "Oh, great." I didn't talk to her for 3 years.
I hate when a girl plays dumb.
So at this point, it's like, not just one flag, not just, you have given me a Amazon family pack of red flags. Like, what's the tea? So I just took the time that I needed, and then I reached out, and then we sat down and had a conversation, and it wasn't terrible, but it didn't necessarily like happen in the way that like I would have wanted it to. He didn't take a lot. I could not get him to take accountability for several of the like happenings, and I'm like, but like I've continuously tried to like clarify and like have conversation about these things, and you say one thing and then the other thing like is what you do. I'm noticing all of these inconsistencies, and he really tried to make it about me and like, "Oh, but you be doing too much," and "Oh, you're too this and you're too that," and it's like,
am I though?
Am I like?
And didn't you notice when you met me, you've been running around town with me, being this exact person?
That part. So like, what I know now is that like what now that the situation is done is that like he is he gives very much like narcissism vibes. Like it's just like it's all about him. He also like has this like air of being like infallible, and it's just like he just and wait, I'm gonna this story goes full circle. But we started hanging around each other again. It wasn't as intimate.
Oh like, no, bitch. How long did it take for y'all after that conversation? Y'all just kind of slowly.
It was
like
it was a slow integration.
It was a slow build.
Integration. But like you look up and it's like now y'all kicking it again. Like it wasn't as intimate like as it was before, but like we were still hanging around each other and kicking it or whatever.
Did y'all start kissing this second round again? Okay, well at least you didn't do that. At least you didn't give up your parts again.
So we're kicking it, we're being amicable, we're hanging out or whatever. And so we end up getting into another argument at a party. I don't know what it is about party spaces, but apparently parties used to just have us arguing.
They used to trigger the hell out of somebody. Either his whole demon or your anger.
Right. And I'm not even an angry person. I try to keep it real fun, try to keep it real light.
You are quite festive.
I'm a funny bitch. Like, so we get into an argument. So this was supposed to be a fun little like joint date night with my roommates, and we were doing like a little beer or wine tasting, and you had to try to guess like what it was. So like he said something real slick, and I said, "Bitch, what? Oh no, we need to talk right now." And so I hemmed him up and took him out to the front porch, and I was like, I'm not doing this again. You need to tell me what's going on. I need the answers to this, and this.
He said something that extreme.
So then he starts crying.
Oh no, man.
He's crying.
I don't do tears. I collect them in vials. I'm not doing tears.
He's crying. He's like, I'm so sorry. But like, yeah, I'm still in love with my ex. Which is like, duh, bitch. Like the writing is on the wall. And it's been there the whole time. Duh. He's like, I'm in love with my ex. And then he's moving here next month. And we're working it out, and we're gonna get back together and do all this stuff. And I was like, you have to leave. You have to
Immediately.
leave. Immediately.
Yes, you got to get the fuck out before I get you the fuck out.
Get the fuck out my face before I stole on you right here on Georgia Avenue. Because like, not it.
Oh, Georgia Avenue.
So, Jesus.
Why? Just why?
He finally admitted that he was still in love with his ex, and that was like that was the impasse in everything that we've ever done. Like he would not allow for it to go to
that level because he didn't want to.
Because exactly.
He didn't want to technically. I've been in that place before where I will like date someone and or like be getting to know someone new, but I won't fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
And like because I don't want you to ask me
question. So like you should have told me. Like you should have just said it.
Sometimes people are in denial or they're in a different place. I know, like at the beginning of the breakup, I had one opinion where I was like, no, like I hate it, like I'm upset with this person, or they disappointed me, or like I can never see myself getting back with them. But also that may be an opinion based on lack of closure, or like just like lack of processing, and then folks love to hit you up if you don't dare about that door. Folks will be looking,
I think he liked the fact that he had a friend, like he had somebody here with whom he could like be close to. He liked the fact that shit was getting paid for. He liked the fact that like dates were happening and it was fun and it was cute and you got to be seen in the streets or whatever. Like I think he likes those things, and I think he just liked my companionship, but he didn't want.
Also, maybe doing what the boyfriend wasn't doing.
Probably. We'll get to that. Yeah. So that I told him he had to leave. I saw him again a few months later with the boyfriend at a brunch. So I got to meet the boyfriend. Justin has also got to meet the boyfriend via my photo tour that I gave before.
And let me just tell you, she ain't even half of me. That's all I got. And I'm gonna keep it there because I'm gonna keep it cute, because it ain't my pain. I ain't gonna make it about me and my opinions. But let me just say, what's that little rodent from Ice Age? What's that little thing with the claws, with the teeth? I don't know.
That'd be getting the acorn.
No, not that. Not the little squirrel.
Oh, the one with the eyes.
Yes, that's what it's giving. Okay, people.
This little white boy from rural Georgia got my man.
She didn't get that. That wasn't for you. That wasn't for you.
So I kept it real cute. Hey girl. Oh, hey girl, nice to meet you. We tried to like do the friends thing, and it just didn't work out, and so it ultimately like I cut him out of my life, and we weren't really cool. But let me tell you how God works.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I ran into barista best friend
Mm-hmm.
who then became Barista Bay. And he started spilling the tea. He was like, I have some questions, and I feel like you have questions too. But me and
Oh,
Miss
bitch. Monica came knocking at your door, Brandy.
Yes, yes.
You're
So
like, oh my God.
she hit me up and was like, okay, me and Mr. Africa broke up, but I also like everything that you said was like accurate, but also like this is the tea. So we had this really like big conversation, and Barista Bay gave me all the tea and was like, you know, Mr. Africa truly is a narcissist, and he's manipulative, and he's a liar, and that's essentially why they broke up as well. He was like, but y'all were dating before I got here, right? And I was like, yeah. And then
Something of the
I gave
sort.
him I gave him the tea, and he was like, I asked him if y'all were dating, and he said no. And the only reason why I pursued him and like agreed to move down here is because he said that he was single and he wanted to try. So he was like playing both of us.
Yeah,
He
he
was
was trying to see
playing
which one was gonna work out.
both
Yeah.
sides of the fence. And so yeah. So now me and Barista Bay are cool. He gave me all of the receipts and all the confirmations about the things that I was suspicious about. And yeah,
And they broke up. Mm.
for many of the same reasons that I was just like, fuck you, like I gotta cut you off.
Well, hopefully Barista Bay is getting, a new chocolate piece. All the best.
Clearly that's what she like.
That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't owe her shit.
Same.
And her unicorn drinks. Anyways, so
That's my story. It's stupid. I feel like an
that's
idiot in retrospect, but I learned a lot about myself.
no. I don't think you were an idiot. How can you be an idiot? I think the one thing with fuckboys, as we now, analyze, um, is manipulation, omission. How can you know something that you don't have context about?
Mhm.
And then so often, we try to give people grace or be understanding or take people at face value, and part of that is one, at least for me, I'm trying to push past my trauma or push past like maybe like my insecurities or whatever about people and not project them on someone else. And you want to give a person an honest chance, and take their word. And then what do you do with it? You use your honesty as a weapon. And it's not even honesty. It's lies in disguise. Haha.
Mhm.
So now, as we move on to the next part, how would you define a fuck boy? Because this fuck boy was from Atlanta. That's why we're talking about him, you all, because season 3 is all about Atlanteans.
Fuckboys will do anything and everything that they need to do to make sure that they get what they want. Fuckboys are inconsiderate of anybody else caught up in the situation. They don't
Mhm.
give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about your feelings.
And what advice would you give for someone in a similar situation or, dealing with someone who may be new in town?
What might Angelou say? When someone shows you who they are, believe them. I shouldn't have took that
Okay.
advice. I mean, the writing was on the wall. I tried to make it work. I tried to give the benefit of the doubt. And like that's what you're supposed to do as like
Yeah,
a
you
good human
are.
being. Like you're supposed to take people at face value. You're supposed to try to have the conversation and to bring that honesty and to stay communicative. But not everybody can handle that level of intimacy and that level of adulting. So
Mm.
as long as you did what you were supposed to do,
You
you
can
can't
walk away with peace in
really,
your heart.
yeah.
How do you go into dating situations? Did this change you? Did you learn anything different?
Oh,
And
absolutely. I'm a very different person now, especially as it pertains to dating and relationships.
hmm
I no longer feel a need to like quote unquote make something work. Like I'll have the conversation. I'm much more upfront with like what I'm looking for and like what characteristics I need to see in a situation. And if I
hmm
don't see those characteristics or feeling those feelings, like we don't need to be doing this. Much more honest and upfront with my needs relationally words.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
like
yeah,
it's probably the big thing.
okay. Now, Dooley, you do food. Tell us a little about all the
I
little things you
do.
do. Tell us a little about that stuff.
I'm all over the place. So you're talking about my YouTube channel, Dooley Does Food, where I teach you how to use the stuff in your house, in your kitchen, to make some good meals. I'm not giving you what's the girl's name? Darius Crooks. That's not me. I'm not using 8 kinds of salt
Drag her.
to season my meats. But yeah, like it's a dash of education, but it's mostly fun and entertaining. But what have I done? I did a katsu chicken sandwich that everybody loved. But yeah, I try to like find fun things to cook, things that you could make for your friends and your family for any occasion. And I try to keep it light and fun. It's a
I'm
good
with that. Now
time.
tell everybody how they can find you all on the social medias.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at underscore duly noted underscore. That's underscore DOOLEYNOTED underscore. You can find me on Instagram at duly noted with 2 underscores in the middle. That's DOOLEY underscore NOTED for all of my content. You can get the gym selfies, you can get the food pics, you can get the I'm out in these streets today pics. Or you can follow me on Instagram at Dooley Does Food only for my food content. And then like, share, comment, subscribe, follow me, find me on YouTube at Dooley Does Food.
All right. And when we get back, we have our next segment. It's our fuckboy versus fucked up portion of the show.
I couldn't help but wonder.
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 I couldn't help but wonder. Are men just women with balls?
This is a good time to vent. Officially. Now, in the great tradition of Paris is burning, the library is about to be open. Hey! Because reading is what? Fundamental. That's right, children.
All right, everybody. We are back with our fuckboy versus fucked up portion of the show. Dooley, are you ready?
I am.
All right. So today's subject line is to hoe or not to hoe. And what I need you to do is tell me after I read this story, is it a fucked up situation or is this individual a fuckboy? You got it?
All right. Let's go.
All right. The person writes in and they say, hey, fuckboy problems. That's really my question. To hoe or not to hoe? I've just moved back to DC after spending 8 years overseas working for the government. No, I didn't really experience any heavy dry spells while being out of the States, or is 6 months a dry spell? I don't know, but I also may have become a workaholic to drown my sexual urges. The dating scene in East London is very different than what I'm used to, so that may have attributed to it as well. But now that I'm back in the States, I forgot how fine the men are, and I guess even myself for that matter, because it's been so long since I felt this desire. Now I'm just 32, so don't give me any old jokes either. But it's definitely
I'm 33.
girl, right? Okay. They said, but it's definitely a different world, and I guess I'm not sure what's appropriate or not at my age or at where I'm at maturity-wise. I've always been a romantic and more of a relationship person, whether monogamous or polyamorous. I've had success in both, and I'm open to either. After catching up with friends, they brought up the importance of me getting my whole phase out my system before entertaining anyone. To be honest, I was kind of offended because aren't whole phases for like baby gays? I've had my fair share of whole phases through the years, and even when I first got to London, give or take, so I kind of thought it wasn't necessary for me to have one back on my old stomping grounds. But then, on the other hand, they brought up 1, there are all these fresh faces. 2, my on again, off again dry spells overseas. 3, this may be my last turn to have a whole phase before I decide to really settle down, as I've been saying I want to. Now, that last one is the one that really made me think. Ever since I knew I was moving back home about 4 months ago, I started internet dating on Match.com. I'd met a lot of dudes, but there was this one guy who we'll call him Julian. He checks off all the boxes, and our connection was electric online and even greater now since we finally connected in person. Things are going swimmingly, and I don't have any glaring concerns or drawbacks. But I do have to be honest. I drunkenly left with the guy from the brunch party with my friends. The sex was bomb, but part of me feels bad. Julian and I had a no strings policy while being distant, but now that I'm here, it hasn't come up yet. Also, my scrub hasn't stopped woofing since I touched town. I think I'd be fine focusing on Julian and forgetting about the whole phase, but I can't say I haven't had little thoughts creep into my mind, and I definitely don't want to hurt anyone. What do you think? Hotation, to hoe, or not to hoe? That is the question. Signed, Romy Ho. Y'all really been putting in. Thank y'all.
I felt invested. I was like, this is a great story.
Come on out. They've been giving it.
Okay, so hoe phases are real. Hoe phases are real. Hoe phases can pop up anywhere in your life. I don't think it has to just be a baby gay. I think it has the tendency to be baby gays because they fresh out the box. They trying to figure out what's what. But some of us are late bloomers, and so like you might not be at a place to where you can have a hoe phase until you're late 20s, early 30s. So no judgment on that. I think you need to have a conversation with yourself and figure out what you want to do, because it seems like both of these options are viable and like they both seem to be like good options for you. If you think that you're ready to settle down and be in a relationship, sure, like reach out to Julian, iron out the details of what that relationship is for y'all and what it looks like, and pursue that. Or if you feel like you need a little bit more time and you want to do your whole phase and feel the feelings and see what's out here in these streets before going to Julian, like that is also a valid option. But like whichever option you do, you need to figure that out like within yourself, and then you need to share that with Julian and like let him know like what's going on. And then from there, continue to make a decision. But either option I think is valid, but it really is going to come down to what you want.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I can't really say that you're being a fuckboy or if the situation is fucked up. I think you may be in like yeah, I don't think it's either. I think you may feel like it's a little fucked up because you're like, ooh, I have to choose. But that's life, baby. Yeah, like you being in like stuck between a rock and a hard place it may be a little fucked up to you, but you're definitely not being a fuck boy. I think you may feel a little guilty because you slept with that person, but as you stated, you guys already had kind of like a no strings thing because of the distance. I would definitely figure out what I want and how I want to proceed forward and communicate that directly. And soon, or as soon as you come to that realization with Julian, just so there's no misunderstanding, there is no, yeesh makai, as my best friend Chase would call it, going on, no rigmarole, no rigor mortis. You don't want anyone to feel deceived.
Call it shenanigans.
Yeah, shenanigans, stunts and shows, all the things, all the things. You don't want Julian to feel like you played in his face, essentially. So I would just say, if he does not bring it up or they don't bring it up, you definitely should do your due diligence within yourself, and be honest. I mean, I don't think there's really anything for you to lose because you sound pretty self-aware. You also know how to not have sex if you don't want to, or I guess. So, or, you also say you've been able to do monogamy and polyamory successfully. So it doesn't seem like you really have an issue committing, at least from what you shared. Now, baby, if you're lying, you're dying, you're crying. But that's on you. This is all you shared. But I wouldn't say your situation is, even fucked up. I just think you don't want to make a decision, maybe, because sometimes too many options can be overwhelming, and you also can be worried about losing a good thing. But think about what you really want for your life. Think about the future you want to build for your life. Think about, okay, I'm not sure if you've had sex with Julian. You said the connection was really electric in person too. So are you really losing anything? And who's to say that Julian wouldn't be open to, you all dating, or whatever, and bringing in thirds and having, whatever, as you are still getting acclimated to the city, but you guys are keeping that emotional intimacy in your relationship. Maybe that's an option for you. As you're seeing these fresh faces, you guys can make it a game. Who we bringing home tonight? You know, there are lots of different routes, and that's the beauty of a relationship. You know, one of my favorite quotes from one of my all-time starlets, you know, a woman by the name of Kari Bradshaw. She her and her husband, John James Preston, they said you make your own rules, you know, in your marriage. You make your own rules in your relationship. You
The
know where that
quote
was
that was in my
going.
head was literally on the other side of the block.
I know,
I
I
was
know,
I
I
was
know.
thinking our Auntie Ronnie from Players Club, was closed mouths don't get fed.
That too, that too. And you
I think
know,
the quote is
both
actually closed
apply.
legs don't get fed, but it's the same energy.
Both apply, both apply, both apply. You know, and I think either option are available to you. That's the beauty of it. Either option are available to you. And I think it's really up to you to be honest about what kind of future you want to create for yourself first.
Mhm.
Two, with Julian, if Julian is going to be in your life in whatever capacity, and then see, you know, where the cards fall. But I think you have nothing to lose. Welcome back to the States. I can't tell you that this shit show is really where you should be. I don't even know if DC, you know,
I mean, if you
is
if
where
you
you
get a
want to
little
be.
bored, you know where to find me. Hit me up. I'll come
Yeah,
outside.
Dooley is available.
I'll come outside.
Yeah, maybe you should have Dooley. Hit up Dooley, Romeo. You have to reveal your identity. But yeah, you got to reveal your identity. So that's up to you. But thank you also for your creative writing. I don't know what kind of I
That's
don't know
great.
what kind of person, I don't know what you do, but you work for the government and you had time. And I appreciate your support if you're a friend. Because this really sounds like one of my friends, but that some of them details don't add up. So maybe you falsified. But either way, I don't think you're a fuck boy, and I really don't think your situation is fucked up. You just need to really be honest with yourself about what you want. And when we come back, Dooley's gonna give us his song of the week.
How about we listen to a little bit of me?
Hi! That is my song! Hi. You know they gave me a shout out on the album, right? Word? Yes. Everywhere I go, I see the same.
It's time for the song of the week. Welcome to Fuckboy Radio. We have Dooley here from Mr. Fresh Off the Bus. Tell us what your song is today.
All right. So I thought long and hard about this one. I wanted something that like matched the energy of my story, that can like elevate it, just make it just that much better. So I've chosen our homosexual fave, Robin, from her album Robin. But the song is Should Have Known Better. And like the lyrics, the story that she's telling really just sum up like my position in the situation that I shared with y'all a bit earlier. So please listen to it. It's everything. I love that album.
Here's Should Have Known Better by Robin. And please make sure to add our playlist on Apple Music.
Can we waken this up a little?
Well, yeah, if you think you can.
Okay. Deanna. If you wanna be somebody, if you wanna go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. If you wanna be somebody, if you wanna go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. If you wanna be somebody, if you wanna go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention.
Wait a minute.
We are now at our Fuckboy Fix portion of the show. We have our boy Dooley, who has shown us that, you know, if you know better, you can do better. Okay. Dooley, what's your Fuckboy Fix this week?
From our good Judy, William Shakespeare, love all, trust a few, do wrong to none. Remember, as long as you did what you were supposed to do, You can go home, you can lay down with peace of mind, and nothing, nothing is worth more than your peace of mind.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. All right. Now, Dooley, tell everybody out there again everything that you're doing, how to find you everywhere on social media. Give them the tea.
Yes, I'm all over the place, doing a little bit of everything. Y'all can watch me every Sunday on the panel.
On the panel with me.
Justin is one of our co-hosts, one of our rotating co-hosts, but that's on. You can find us on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Maddie Rant's YouTube channel. So that's exciting. Come watch both of us, Kiki and Cackle, and talk all things pop culture and drag. But for my personal socials, you can find me on Twitter at _DooleyNoted_. That's my favorite. That's my fave. I'm a hoot on Twitter. Twitter's hilarious.
Twitter is where we really get down. If y'all want to have fun with us, come to Twitter. We've been having lots of fun on Twitter. Ever since I came back to Twitter, my life has changed.
It's everything. But you can find me at _DooleyNoted_. That's _DOOLEYNOTED_. You can find me on Instagram for all of my content, the fun little gym selfies. You get food, you get comedy. That's it. That's Dooley Noted with 2 underscores in the middle. So DOOLEY__NOTED. Or you can follow me on Instagram at Dooley Does Food just for my cute food pics. And last but certainly not least, like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm trying to get monetized. Come watch my shit on YouTube. You can find my YouTube channel, Dooley Does Food, where you learn how to make fun shit that tastes good, that'll wow your friends and family.
Well, thank you again for being on the show. Love you so much. Love working with you. It's been a pleasure growing and getting to know you as a friend. And thank you. Y'all, he probably going to be back here every season. He did already told us.
Justin was like, what you want to talk about? And I listed like 8 stories. I was like, just pick one and we'll just go with it. Because your boy been single for a real long time and niggas be out here nigging. So like, I have several stories.
Until they stop, we won't. Okay? Bye, fuck boy.
Bye, fuck boy.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Please make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at _FBProbs. Also, if you want to see video clips from today's episode, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel by visiting our Linktree at linktr.ee/FBProbs. And go ahead and add our playlist on Spotify and Apple Music while you're there. And last but not least, if you've got fuckboy problems or just want some advice, email us at fbprobs@justin-rayne.com. Until the next episode, bye fuckboys!